Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. We are live with the LeTonya Moore Morning Show. You know, I have to get set up here, make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. So you guys just give me just a few minutes. I need to do just a couple of things. So, you know, it takes me just a couple of minutes to get set up. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me Monday through Friday. 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I am so excited to bring you all of the great information. And thank you so much, guys, for just supporting this, just supporting this morning show. And thank you for your questions. Thank you for your wonderful feedback. Again, I am just so honored that you guys are with me as part of this, because I can't do this without the feedback that you guys are giving me. So thank you so much. Good morning, Garland. Thank you for joining. I'm still getting set up just a little bit. But again, thank you guys so much. Today, we are going to be talking about part 2 of how to invest without money, because it really comes down to if you're willing to put in the work. I mean, that's just really what it is. You know, are you willing to put in the work that it's going to take for you to really move your business to the next level without having to, you know, if you don't have the money? Because a lot of entrepreneurs that I deal with, unfortunately, they don't have the money that they need. I always tell them that there's always ways to find some funding. You know, there's always ways to look at what you're doing right now. And a lot of times what I work with people and help them do is to identify pockets of funding that they really haven't thought about, or ways that they can reposition money so that they can go ahead and get some things moving in their business so that they can enjoy some life luxuries. And I know in some previous videos, we have talked a whole lot about that. And, you know, I've gotten some good feedback. I've gotten some feedback, you know, from people that feel that, you know, that may not be the thing that they want to do. And so, again, I think as entrepreneurs, what the first question I always say that you have to ask yourself is, what sacrifices are you willing to make? Because if you aren't willing to make any sacrifices, it's going to be very difficult for you to get other people to make sacrifices to help you move to the next level. So very, very important. Guys, remember I told you that unfortunately sometimes I cannot see the stream. And so if I, you know, like, share, comment, ask your questions live, please make sure that I cannot see the stream. Please make sure that you do that so that I can come back later on and I can address those. So just know that sometimes I do not see the stream, but that doesn't mean that I'm ignoring your questions. Please ask your questions live. So again, today we are on part 2 on how to invest without money. Remember, the previous day we talked about how to leverage your network and some ways that you could leverage the network that you have so that you can make money. So the great thing that I like about it is that, again, it really comes down to how hard you're willing to work. How hard are you willing to work to make sure that you actually utilize the skills and talents that you have? And so we talked about that, and we talked about how do you convince people what do you do once you get there? When you look at your network, how do you decide who you want to work with and all of those things? So we talked about that in the previous video. I don't want to bore you by going over or reviewing all of the information, but I definitely wanted to let you guys know that there is a previous video from Friday that talks a lot about this. But today I really want us to talk about the barter. You always hear people, you know, come in, and I've had it happen to me, and I still have it happen to me. And this is not a negative thing. A barter is not a negative thing. However, when you are looking to barter because you may not have the funds to outright pay for the services that you are seeking, the bottom line is you have to ask yourself, what value can I add to, let's just use me, for example, what value am I bringing LeTonya when I'm asking her to barter with me on a project, when I'm asking her to barter with me on something that I need? What value am I bringing? Because you have to know that, because I'm going to tell you, hey, good morning, Jean. I'm going to tell you that when you do approach me, and anybody else is going to tell you this, they're going to ask you this, okay, what they may not say it like this, but the reality of what they're saying is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What is it that, why would I want to barter with you? What do you have that you're bringing me that I need right now? So part of that, you may have to do a little research up front. Good morning, Charmaine. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, guys. Please feel free to like, share, comment. I do answer questions live. So for those of you that have questions about anything that we're talking about, or really any other questions, now I ain't gonna say I'm gonna answer all questions. No, just kidding. But I do answer questions live. So make sure that you like, share, comment, ask your questions live. So again, today we are talking about bartering. And just like I said, you have to answer the question, what value do I bring to the person that I want to barter with? So what always works is if you've done some level of research up front. Now that doesn't mean, but you can do this. You can Google them. You can see what they're working on. You can go to their website. Sometimes everything isn't on the website. You can go to their social media pages. You can see what's going on so that you can determine, do you have anything of value to offer? That still doesn't mean that you don't go to that person and you don't talk with them, or you don't set up some type of meeting or something with them so that you can get a gauge, because guess what? Everything isn't on the web. Everything isn't on social media. Everything isn't on their website. So they may be working on a new project. They may be developing something new, and they need what you have to offer. So it's really important, again, that you really answer that question. What am I offering? And guess what? That answer is going to be different based on who you're reaching out to. So again, I always say that before you go anywhere, before you decide that you're going to talk to people, before you do anything, everybody's heard about the pitch, right? You hear everybody's talking about the pitch, but that's really what it is. The bottom line is, get your pitch right. I always say, if you answer the questions, who, what, when, where, how, and why, if you answer those 6 questions, you see my fingers, y'all? 6 questions. Thank you so much for joining and liking, Orlando. So check this out. If you answer those 6 questions before you get there, because guess what? That's how you're going to put your pitch together. So when you are contacting someone saying, hey, I'd like to work with you, and this is how I'd like to work with you, and all of these things, and this is what I have to offer, you're already coming to the table. You're not asking for anything. You're coming to the table with an offer up front. What may surprise you, believe it or not, is that person may offer to just turn around and pay you for the services. So again, you want to make sure that you always approach people from a position of strength. Even if they don't need what you have to offer, they may know someone. I have people who come to me literally all the time. A lot of times I don't need what they have to offer, but I either have a client or a collaborative partner or a friend. I usually almost always know someone who needs what they have to offer all the time. Sometimes I may not need what they have to offer, but I realize that oftentimes it may be something that viewers like you may need. It may be something that those that subscribe to the Ambassador Monthly, which is the publication, it may be something that's great for that. So again, it's always ways to do that. And guess what? Even though you may not get the service that you came to me for in a barter situation, you may be able to get some type of exposure. You may be able to get some marketing. You may be able to get your brand in front of people that will need that service. So it still may help you build that relationship by leveraging your network. Just like I said, by the things that with the things that we've started to talk about even yesterday. So again, this is really about the things that you can do literally with no money. But it is going to take some hard work. It is going to take some research on your part. It is going to take all of those things. And so the question that you have to answer is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to put in the work so that you can know what you need to do up front so that you can bring value to the person that you're trying to get either information or support or something like that from? Very, very vital, very important. And again, thank you guys for joining live. I'm LeTonya Moore. I'm here every every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. We talk about business. We talk about a lot of things, but today we're talking about how to invest in your business without any money. This is part 2. And today we're focusing primarily on bartering because, again, I see this. A lot of my clients barter when they're getting started. Sometimes they barter, they look for bartering opportunities when they're making a transition or they're trying to go into another market. Because regardless of what business you have, regardless of what it is, you could be the person that's the speaker with the book that you're trying to get out there. But you may have one market in mind, but you want to get into another market. How do you convince this person who has access to that market to work with you if you don't have money to, pay into that market? So again, it really, really comes down to answering those 6 questions. I keep saying who, what, when, where, how, and why. Who are you? What do you do / what do you have to offer? Where do you need this service? How do you need this service? How are you going to provide this service? Why should I work with you? Why should you work with them? Because again, you have to be able to tie those things together when you're looking at a barter relationship. Because remember, any service that's being bartered is a service that, hey, Paul, thank you so much. Good morning. So any service that's being bartered, guys, is also a service that that person is not able to provide at that time, which means technically they may be losing money. So you need to make sure that whatever you are bringing to the table and whatever you're getting is of value enough that's going to replace those dollars that may be lost. So again, very vital, very important that you answer those 6 questions. And I know I keep saying that, and I say that in every video because that's really what it boils down to. It is very simple. And I know I get a lot of inbox messages. Please like, share, comment. I will answer your questions live right now. If you are watching on the replay, I will answer your questions. I do monitor this all day. I monitor the timeline all day. So make sure that you put your questions in. Again, please like, share, comment. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am just excited, that I can add value. So again, you have to ask yourself, since I'm talking about adding value, you have to ask yourself, how are you adding value? You have to answer that question. These are the things that you need to already know before you even approach anyone. You need to already know what it is. You need to be prepared to answer any question that they're going to ask you. So I'll use myself, for example. So I've had people, you guys have seen, I've had different people actually on here with me in the morning time. That's not just by happenstance. Typically the people that you're going to see are people that are adding value to you. They're adding value to the experience of this morning show because this is information that I absolutely know that people need because my clients need it. And so everybody's not my client. So I know that there are other people out there that need this information, which is exactly why I make sure that I share it. However, I'm not going to have someone on the show that they're just on the show just to be on the show. It definitely has to be something that comes down to the brand, whether it's protecting your brand, growing your brand, something you can do, again, like we're talking about today. If you don't have a lot of money, if your budget is little, if your budget is non-existent, these are all things the last couple of days that we've been talking about that you actually can do. Anybody can do it. Anybody can answer those questions: the who, what, when, where, how, and why. You have to answer those questions if you're going to want someone to work with you in a barter relationship, because remember, it's give take. It's give take. And the reality of things is, a lot of times, oftentimes, I see entrepreneurs that they're really not ready. That's why I spend a lot of time talking about the foundational principles. That's why I spend a lot of time really going back and talking about some of the same things, because I want to make sure that you know that before you can even go outside of your business, you really have to get things structured and you have to get things squared away so that you can move forward. It's not that it takes a long time. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time to do that. If you don't have the time to invest in your business, this is what I always tell people, then look at what you're spending your time on. If you don't have the time to invest in your business, then how are you spending your time? Because when you are spending your time, if you want to barter and you are saying, you know what, I know that I want to barter with LeTonya. She's talked about some contracts that I know that I need. She's talked about some things I know I need for her to coach me through this process. But I don't have the money. I don't have the amount. Good morning, Quinte. I don't have the amount that it takes to secure her services. I can't afford to pay her, bottom line. So if you are in that position, then you have to answer these questions. And you have to ask yourself, what do I have to offer? Which means you need to go back. Thank you for liking, Tawana. Good morning. You have to go back and you have to ask yourself those questions. You have to answer those questions so that when you set up that appointment to talk with a LeTonya, then you're already coming with the answers to these questions that I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask you the 6 questions: who, what, when, where, how, and why. Everybody is going to ask you that question. That's just how it is. Because again, you're talking about asking someone to trade service for service. In addition to trading service for service, even though they may need the service, they're going to be looking at the quality of the services. They're going to be asking you, well, who have you done this with before? Have you done this before? What is your success rate? You need to know all of that. You need to know, because again, you have to meet or exceed their expectations. They have to do the same, but you're the one coming asking for the barter relationship. Personally, out of all the ways to invest within your business without money, barter is very difficult, because oftentimes you have people that feel like, well, what I'm offering is worth more than what this person is offering. Or you have a situation where one side, whatever it is that they're supposed to do, they can do really quickly, versus the other side, they have to do things over time. You need to have those expectations set up front. Because let me back up. I always have to throw this in. Have a contract. Please have a contract on who's going to do what. We talked in a previous video about this, but listen, just because there's no money exchanging hands does not mean that you don't have a contract in place. You must do it. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, I don't want to do a contract. And I've told you guys the pitfalls of doing these online contracts. Now, you can try to do it. And then what'll happen is you'll be on social media because you'll be mad because you provided a service to someone and either they didn't provide the service or the service that they provided didn't meet your standard. So again, just want to throw that in there. You guys know I have to always come back to that. I have to always come back to it, because at the end of the day, everything that we talk about with the LeTonya Morning Show is really about protecting your brand. It is really about protecting your brand as you're moving to that next level. You have to ask yourself, is this a person that I really need to barter with? And that's for both sides. That's why I'm telling you, do your research up front. Invest that extra time up front before you end up connected to someone that, guess what? Either they have a bad reputation, or they can't help you, or even worse, they end up being your competitor. So all of these things, again, there are pitfalls to this, but a lot of times I have people say, well, yeah, I mean, that really sounds good, LeTonya, but it's outside of my budget. I have some people that they won't even tell me that. They won't even say that it's outside of their budget. I don't know how many of you guys saw this, but I posted something that said, asking for a payment plan is understandable, but asking for a discount is unreasonable. And sometimes, unfortunately, the barter will fall into that discount category. So you have to know who you're talking to. You have to know what their thought process is, because again, but if you go to them with something that's really valuable, they're not thinking of it that way because they understand that they need to invest in their brand as well. So if they can get what they need on a barter, which is why you answer all of those questions, then guess what? You don't have to worry about the next step of convincing them. You don't have to worry about the next step of now you may have a problem because they've seen the value, they value what you have to offer, and they value you as a professional. But understand, you need to make sure that you do exactly what you say you're going to do. The quality that you say that you're going to provide, you need to make sure that you do that. We're going to talk about customer service, but I've had 3 different people contact me about customer service issues. 3. If there is anything that is negative out there about you, especially when it comes to customer service, you need to be prepared to answer about that with the person that you're trying to barter with. I tell people all the time, I don't have a problem with any type of collaborative relationship. I don't have a problem with doing some joint ventures. I don't have a problem with any of that. But I tell people all the time, I just need you to meet expectations. I just need you to do what you say that you're going to do. And I know that you need the same from me. So again, answer those 6 questions: who, what, when, where, how, and why, before you even go to someone talking about bartering. And you need to make sure that what you are offering, the value of what you are offering is equivalent to the value of what you need. What am I saying? If you're a graphics designer and you come to a consultant like myself and you say, I want to be in your coaching program. I'll take that as me. I want to be in your brand protection coaching program, but I can't afford it for whatever reason. So what I would like to do is I would like to create a graphic for this event that you're doing. Now, how much is the graphic? Well, the graphic is normally, I don't know, $200. Well, even from a dollars standpoint, that's not equivalent. But it's not just dollars, even from value, because the reality of things is what you're going to learn in that brand protection coaching program is going to build your business to the next level. It's going to give you a whole lot of floors to that skyscraper that you're building, whereas that graphic is only going to brand that one event. So be prepared for a negotiation. Be prepared for the other party if they're still interested in working with you, because you want to make sure that you don't do something that's going to be insulting. And again, thank you guys so much for joining live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those of you that are joining on the replay, please ask your questions. Leave me feedback. But again, just this one last thing before we go is that you really have to look at value. That's what it literally comes down to. It comes down to what is the value that you are bringing to the person that you want to work with. Because if the value is not there, it doesn't even matter if it's a monetary equivalent, meaning you're asking me for $3,000 worth of services and you're providing $3,000 worth of services. But if it's something that either I don't need or I don't want, or, it's something that's not really going to be relevant in my business right now, then there's just no value there. And that's why I was saying earlier, you have to answer the question about value up front. And part of that is going to require for you to do a whole lot of research on the person that you're trying to reach out to. You're going to have to do a whole lot of research. You need to know, because sometimes you may tell someone, I've had people do this. They've offered me things that I didn't even realize I needed. But once they said it and they started to explain to me, okay, well, this is why I would say that this may be something you may consider or whatever. I'm like, yeah, boy, I'm on board. Again, it has to be something of value. So you have to do the research. What can you do to help that person get to where they're trying to go? Because you're already asking them, you know what you want from them. And so you need to ask yourself, what are you offering? Does it add value? and what are the answers to those questions? So thank you guys so much for being with me here today on the LeTonya Moore Morning Show. Again, we talk about your brand. We talk about your business. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things. Tomorrow, I think I have a guest tomorrow. We are going to be doing more entrepreneurial spotlights for those of you that didn't get an opportunity to sign up for that. Eventually, we're going to have those things coming in. But again, I really want your feedback. You guys are really good about giving me feedback, but I'm asking for more. What are also some things that you'd like for me to talk about? What are some topics that, or some problems that you're having that you'd like for me to address during the live stream? Because again, value, I want to make sure that I'm talking about the things that you're interested in. I want to make sure that I'm talking about the things that are helpful to you. So again, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here. For those of you that are joining on the replay, I will monitor this. I will monitor the feed all day. I do answer questions all day, periodically throughout the day. Don't get discouraged if you don't hear from me for a couple of hours. I do have some appointments and some things that I do throughout the day, but I do make sure that I monitor this so that I can get back to you. If you do not want to put your question on the wall or in the comment section, you may always reach out to me in a private message and leave your question there. I will answer your question. And again, thank you guys so much. Until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Have a great day.